Baby, let's just get one thing straight. The streets are talking, and when I say talking, I mean screaming. Because Bishop T.D. Jakes, yes, the Bishop Jakes, the man, the myth, the megachurch mogul, is now being dragged into the same storm swirling around none other than Sean Diddy Combs. And it's not looking pretty. Now let's rewind. Bishop T.D. Jakes has always been seen as that rock-solid figure in the Christian community, the one who built the Potter's house from the ground up, giving sermons that made grown folks cry, and pulling millions into his orbit. But now, baby, his halo's looking a little bent, and the devil is in the details, because recent allegations just dropped, and they are threatening to burn his entire image to the ground. Word on the street is that T.D. Jakes wasn't just casually linked to Diddy. Oh no. He's allegedly tied to wild, high-profile parties that had way more going on behind closed doors than just champagne toasts. I'm talking about abuse, manipulation, and exploitation. Yeah, I'll let that sink in. And at the center of it all, those infamous Diddy parties that everybody's been whispering about for years. The ones where the vibes were less celebration and more satanic playground. Drugs, women being manipulated, careers being promised and stolen, all under the same roof. Now, here's where it gets messier. Witnesses, and baby, not just any witnesses, but people close to Diddy, are coming forward saying they saw Bishop Jakes at these parties. Yeah. The Bishop Jakes at events described as freak-offs where the vibe was more hedonistic hellscape than holy. And you know what's worse? The details aren't even the juiciest part. The real kicker is what T.D. Jakes might have been doing there. Was he just a confused guest who accidentally stumbled into a den of sin? Or was he, as some insiders claim, part of the machinery that helped Diddy recruit and manipulate new victims? Child. Let's talk about Diddy's history for a second, because this man's parties were legendary for the worst reasons. It wasn't just about getting lit, it was about control. Former guests have described carefully curated scenes where beautiful young women were lured in with promises of fame, only to find themselves trapped. And Diddy? He had the money, the power, and the PR machine to keep everything quiet. Now imagine being one of those women, thinking you were gonna network only to be drugged, coerced, and silenced. And now imagine seeing Bishop Jakes walking through those very same halls. Chilly the betrayal. And just when you think it can't get any worse, it does. Because insiders like Gene Deal, who used to be tight with Diddy, have straight up said they personally saw Diddy Jakes at these parties. Jane wasn't sugarcoating anything either. They were basically like, what is a man of God doing here? And it gets even deeper, because allegedly, T.D. Jakes wasn't just a guest. He was a tool used by Diddy to polish up his dirty image, putting on this front of spiritual connection while hiding what was happening behind closed doors. It's being said that Jakes helped open doors for Diddy, introducing him to new circles that eventually led to even more victims being ensnared. Go wrenching. And baby, the lawsuits? They're flying, because let's talk about Pastor Dwayne Youngblood, who straight up came out and accused Bishop Jakes of attempting to assault him when he was just 18 years old. A church, no less. The place where people are supposed to be safe. According to Youngblood, not only did Jakes try to make advances, but afterwards he also made chilling threats masked as financial support, basically trying to buy his silence. The receipts? Phone records, witnesses. Baby, it's not just hearsay anymore, and Youngblood isn't just coming for Jakes' character, he's dragging Jakes into court with a defamation lawsuit that's exposing even more skeletons. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, people are whispering that Jakes helped Diddy rebrand himself, using the credibility of a man of God to mask Diddy's sins. It's the kind of scandal that makes you question everything. If the church can be bought off, what hope is left? But hold on, it's about to get even uglier. Because sources say T.D. Jakes wasn't just casually helping Diddy. They're claiming he was right there multiple times at Diddy's notorious all-white parties. You know, the ones that looked glamorous on Instagram but allegedly turned into absolute nightmares once the cameras went off. The whispers are turning into full-on roars now. Why? Because Jakes has refused to make any real public statement about all of this. Silence speaks volumes, baby. And the louder the silence, the harder the questions get. Is he scared? Is he guilty? Is he trapped? One thing's for sure, his legacy will never be the same. This is a man who spent decades building an empire on faith, family, and moral leadership. And now he's being mentioned in the same breath as Diddy's dark empire of manipulation and abuse. And don't get it twisted. This isn't just a bad optics situation. This is career-ending, faith-shattering, ministry-collapsing type of scandal. And if you thought the Christian community was going to sit back quietly, you better think again. People are livid, devastated, and desperate for answers. And baby, you thought it couldn't get any crazier? Hold my coffee. Because at the heart of this spiraling scandal is something even darker: tapes. Secret, dirty tapes that Diddy allegedly recorded at these elite parties without the guests even knowing. Sources close to the investigation are whispering that Diddy had cameras strategically hidden everywhere, capturing it all. the drugs, the manipulation, the power plays. And allegedly, some of these tapes don't just show Hollywood celebrities. They show religious leaders, including Bishop T.D. Jakes. I mean, can you imagine? If even 1 second of that footage leaks, it would be a nuclear bomb on Jake's entire empire. Gone. In the blink of an eye. And baby, Diddy wasn't just recording for kicks. No. It was about control, leverage. He knew that if anyone dared cross him, he had the footage to ruin them. And according to the whispers, that's exactly the kind of twisted power he had over some very powerful people. And now, with the feds breathing down Diddy's neck and seizing footage during raids, there's a very real chance that Bishop T.D. Jakes' darkest secrets could be just one leak away from public humiliation. Meanwhile, the courtroom is a war zone, because word is, when Diddy realized that T.D. Jakes might be cooperating with authorities to save himself, baby Diddy exploded in court like a volcano. Screaming, throwing tantrums, needing to be restrained. Sources say it got so bad the judge had to call for a break just to calm the situation down. Full chaos. Witnesses inside the courtroom said Diddy looked like a cornered animal. Furious, betrayed, and out for blood, because the very people he thought he had in his back pocket, they're now allegedly flipping on him one by one. And T.D. Jakes? Word is he's desperately trying to spin the narrative, painting himself as a victim who got caught up without really knowing what was happening. Girl, please, because the streets are asking, how do you show up to multiple parties hosted by the king of scandal himself at venues famous for drugs and freak-offs and still claim you didn't know? Make it make sense. This whole thing is a full-on unraveling, and the deeper it goes, the more obvious it becomes. This wasn't just about wild parties. This was about manipulation, control, blackmail. And the kicker, people close to Diddy are saying he always had a plan for people like T.D. Jakes, using them, recording them, and when the time came, discarding them like trash. And now that the FBI is digging through years' worth of hidden recordings, it's Judgment Day. Not just for Diddy, not just for T.D. Jakes, but for an entire web of powerful people who thought their secrets would stay buried forever. Meanwhile, and this is where it gets truly soul-crushing, the fallout in the church community is catastrophic. Because for millions of people who looked up to T.D. Jakes as a beacon of hope, this scandal feels like a death in the family. A betrayal not just of trust, but of faith itself. People are asking themselves, if T.D. Jakes can fall, who's left? Who can we trust anymore? The heartbreak is real. And let's not forget, T.D. Jakes isn't just a preacher. He's a brand. He's a media mogul. He's a best-selling author. He's a global celebrity who turned faith into an empire. And if even a fraction of these allegations are proven true, it's over. His books will be pulled, his shows canceled, his congregation shattered, his name permanently tied to scandal and shame. And baby, the whispers say this is just the beginning. Now about Diddy, oh honey, he's fighting for his life. Sources say he's spending millions trying to buy loyalty, silence witnesses, and stop the bleeding, but it's not working because too many people have been hurt. Too many secrets are now in the open and too many receipts are coming out. Fast and furious, and here's the cold hard truth. Diddy built his empire by pulling the strings behind the scenes, but now the puppets are cutting their strings and pointing straight back at him, Bishop T.D. Jakes included. And let's be real, whether Jakes was a willing participant or just another pawn, at this point, it doesn't even matter to the public. His mere presence at those parties, his silence when the scandals were exploding, his alleged role in helping Diddy rebrand himself, it's enough. It's more than enough. Can T. Jakes survive this? Honestly, it's looking grim. Because once the trust is broken, especially the kind of spiritual trust Jakes had, baby, it does not come back. The lawsuits are stacking up. The court dates are looming. The tapes are allegedly about to be unleashed, and the streets are talking louder than ever. People are calling it, this is the fall of the faith leader. The man who once preached about destiny is now fighting desperately to salvage his own. And Diddy? He's dragging everyone down with him, sinking like a ship made of gold-plated lies and broken promises. This whole thing is a devastating reminder that power corrupts. Episode of Kel Tony Fames and Furies, the faintest of hopes lifted to some highest row of pain when the whole world is. And that even the so-called holiest among us can lose their way when they think no one's watching, and now the whole world is. Stay tuned, because this story is still unfolding, and something tells me the worst is yet to come.